Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network analyst, Chargers radio color analyst, and his Moving the Sticks podcast with Bucky Brooks and Rhett Lewis. NFL Network providing live coverage from the Combine Thursday through Sunday. Why do we place so much emphasis still in the 40-yard dash?
Oh, yeah. First of all, Dan, that was like announcing everyone who was not nominated for an Oscar there with that list of players. But look, it's still, to me, it's helpful for thresholds. You know, you want to see guys hit certain thresholds because there's a reason why you have the phrase outliers. Like most of the successful players at positions, and that's what I'll try and do during our coverage, is frame it with that perspective of most of the players that are successful, the top 10 receivers in receptions. These are what they average ran. This is what they average jumped. And you can kind of just see, okay, is this player that's on the line right now, is he kind of parking his car in the right neighborhood for those who've been successful?
I love the 10 yards. That to me, I think you can get a 10-yard time and see success at any position because it's so quick off the line. Your lineman, your linebacker, your edge rusher, your wide receiver, running back, I mean, all of that. But that's not glamorous because if somebody says, oh, what was your 10-yard time? It doesn't resonate where you go, damn, did you see how fast his 10-yard time was?
Yeah, I mean, look, it is that way really in draft rooms when you're talking about linemen. When you're talking about offensive linemen, defensive linemen, for sure. I mean, that's the number. We don't really spend much time talking about the 40 on those big guys. We talk about that. On corners, it matters. The 40 matters because you'll see guys who can get up to top speed quickly, but then they don't have that other gear, and you'll see receivers separate from them down the field. Same thing for wideouts. So there's value in the longer distance with those skill players. But for the linemen, absolutely. I mean, that's all you really focus on is the 10.
What is the number one topic in Indy?
The Bears. It's there's so many different layers to it, Dan. So normally you come into this thing and it's like, okay, this team has the first pick. They don't have a quarterback. Which one of these one, 2 or 3 guys are, who are we talking about here? Who are they going to take? And now you have the Fields factor. You have the fact that they have the 9th pick as well. And just kind of how all that stuff works together. And that is going to have the trickle down effect on the rest of the draft. So that's, when you're walking around the street and you run into buddies and stuff, everybody wants to know what the heck those guys are going to do.
The Raiders GM, when asked about Devontae Adams, said he's a Raider. When the Bears GM was asked about Justin Fields, he was like, we're open. We're not sure. Want to do right by Justin. If you want to commit to him, you can. And then the free-for-all begins for that number 1 overall pick.
I've been saying that from the very beginning. I felt like this was going to happen. They were going to move on. Now, I would say in terms of the odds, I feel like it's 80 to 90% they are going to stick at 1 and they're going to take Caleb Williams. And the other 10 to 20% is, okay, maybe they're comfortable with one of these other quarterbacks and they're comfortable maybe moving back within range to still get Justin Fields' replacement. But the way that it looked from the outside, and then I'm waiting for polls to say something that's going to change my mind, and that didn't happen at all with what he said. Because you would come in there and say, Dan, look, we love Justin Fields, the strides that he's taken. I mean, for us to go in a different direction, we would have to be blown away to not stick with Justin because of how excited we are. That did not sound like that yesterday.
No, it did not. It did not. I brought up the potential for a new kickoff, adopting the XFL model.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the realistic possibility is of something like that too? We had the biggest game of the year and there were no kickoff returns. What would you do if you're going to try to incorporate something to start a game instead of starting a game with the touchback?
Well, Dan, full transparency, I've spent a lot of time over the last several months watching the 330 guys here, and I haven't caught up on the XFL in a few years since it launched. So what is the XFL kickoff rule?
Okay, they're going to have you separated by 5 yards. So the kicking team is going to be at your 35. Your receiving linemen, all 10 guys are going to be at the 30.
Okay.
They can't move until the ball is fielded.
Oh, interesting.
So no run-up whatsoever.
Yeah, you eliminate the runway.
Yes. What do you think?
I like that. And look, calling the Charger games, it's become time where, you kind of grab your water when they're kicking off and just make sure you're taken care of here and see what personnel group's going to trot out onto the field. So I would like to see it become a play again. It's impacted me just watching players, Dan. Like I normally, when I watch the wideouts, and I'll go through and I'll look at their return yards and I'll go, okay, I'm going to watch all their returns. And I'm like, why? Why am I spending my time evaluating these guys as kickoff returners? There's not really a kickoff return anymore.
Well, I wonder what we're going to do with the punt. Like, is the NFL going to somehow modify what you can do on a punt? Like, I don't know how far they're going to take this, but I do get concerned about that.
Yeah, no, look, that's interesting. Again, I didn't see the XFL, but I think that is kind of a fascinating, kind of a way to combine things to make it more safe, but yet have it be a meaningful play. The punt thing, I don't know what the answer would be there.
He's Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network analyst and Chargers radio color analyst. The quarterbacks who are going to show up, I don't know how many are going to go through drills, but could you be swayed with the medicals and the interviewing portion more so than you see something on the field?
Yeah, the most powerful, tool that would impact your draft stock is what happens with the medical, because then you don't even get to make the decision. I've been in the personnel room where we've finished meetings, going into the combine, and I've seen the board and how we had it stacked up. And then you come back for the next round of meetings in 1st of April, and you go, what happened to Johnson? Johnson was all the way up there. Like he's off. Like the medical stuff, he got completely taken off of our board. So that's the most impactful thing that happens down here this week. And I would say I was talking to a GM yesterday about the interviews, and he was saying how much can you get out of 15 minutes with a kid? And I said, well, I don't know that they can convince you of anything or sell you on anything, but I have been in there, and he admitted he had too, where and it's very rare, people disqualify themselves rather quickly in a 15-minute interview, but that's rare.
Okay. Did you have any silly questions when you were doing these interviews? My favorite one, I think I might have told you this before, but my favorite one was when we had Pac-Man Jones in, and we asked him, I didn't ask him, but somebody in the room, I hate the 1 to 10 questions, but somebody in the room asked him, how would you judge your hands on a scale of 1 to 10? And Pac-Man looked at his right hand and said 10, and then he looked at his left hand and said 10. He graded them individually, not collectively. I like that. Where's your second tier? You draw the line with the 3, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams, and then there's a drop-off?
Yeah, for me, yeah, there's a drop-off, then you get into the next 3. So I feel like we have, kind of a 3-man battle at the top, and then I think kind of a 3-man battle for that next one with McCarthy, with Bo Nix, and with Penix. And so that's the cool thing about this. We won't see the top 3 guys out there throwing at the combine, but there's other competitions taking place. And to be honest with you, Dan, I don't know who would you rather be. Would you rather be one of those 3 teams that's competing to go to a team that's picking 1st, 2nd, or 3rd? Or would you rather be those other 3 who are going to get a chance to go to better rosters, less pressure, more players around you like that? That we could have an argument on whether that's the better option there.
Well, I think we've talked about it. I certainly have on the show that the reason why some quarterbacks are successful is they went a little bit later and went to a more established team. And the coach, look at Mahomes. If Mahomes goes to, Carolina or whoever, even this year, Patrick Mahomes in Carolina would not be Patrick Mahomes. He just wouldn't be. But you got a Hall of Fame coach. They have some Hall of Fame talent on that team, and you put in his talent. And, that's when you're more successful. You're more successful sooner sometimes when you go a little bit later in the draft.
Yeah, it's continuity, man. It's everything for those guys. And like I get asked the question about Caleb Williams all the time is like, can he be maybe not Patrick Mahomes, but can he be like a Patrick Mahomes? Can he have, can he be that guy? I'm like, well, does he get to go sit behind Alex Smith for a year, get coached by Andy Reid for a year, and throw to Kelsey and Tyreek Hill as he kind of gets his feet wet? I'd feel very confident in saying, yep, I'll stamp that one. That one's going to happen. But you don't know what type of environment these guys are going to go into.